Welcome, my friends, to Inside the Minds of Authors. I'm DC Gomez, and I'm thrilled you're joining me today for a fun conversation with a passionate author. We're kicking off the program, like it's our tradition, with a short reading from the feature book. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's get started.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rosie J. Pova, and I'm a children's author and also a writing coach, helping aspiring authors reach their writing and publishing goals quicker and advance on their journeys, having guidance, support, and resources. And one of my picture books is called Sunday Rain, and it was featured in the New York Times and recommended by Parents Magazine. Today, I'd like to read you a little excerpt from that book. So Sunday Rain, written by me, illustrated by the very talented Amaria Rosher, and published by Lantana Publishing. It started with a whoosh from the wind and a knock from a branch weighing down on the window. Elliot put down his book and peeked outside. A leaf flew by, swinging down and side to side. Then another and another. Whoosh, the wind whispered again. Lightning zigzagged through the clouds. Boom, crashed thunder. Elliot hopped back on his bed and pulled his book onto his lap. The princess was still fighting the dragon, and the sea kept swallowing the royal boat as the night pushed the day down the horizon. Tap, tap, pattered the raindrops on the roof. Elliot turned the page. That's when he heard laughter. Elliot walked up to the window once more and glued his nose to the glass. The storm had passed, and the kids from his street had gathered to play, skipping, springing, and splashing in oodles of puddles. Elliot stood at the window staring. Someone looked up. Elliot stepped back. Elliot, his mother called out. He took the book under his pillow and ran downstairs. Sunday Rain is the most fun, Mama said. I bet your sharkies are begging for a splash. Elliot thought for a moment. Go on, Mama nudged. Make some friends while I finish unpacking. Outside smelled like wet grass and flowers and the pages of a new book. Elliot looked around. He hesitated, but then... And this is where I'll stop, and I'll encourage readers to check out the book from the library and finish the story to see, was Elliot able to approach the other kids? Did he make some new friends? And how did he manage to do that? He's a very shy introvert. So I hope you like the rest of the story.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Inside the Minds of Authors. I am super thrilled because we have a fabulous children's author with us. Hello, Miss Rosie. How are you?
Hi, I'm well. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
I am so happy you are joining us. Children's books has a special place in my heart. So when I got to meet you at the Texas Library Association, I was thrilled. I want to know more about this. So let's jump in. What is this book about, and where did the idea come from?
Well, this book, the idea came from a childhood memory. So when I was little and I was playing outside with my friends, all of a sudden it started raining, it started pouring, and everyone ran for shelter. And I was the only one who stayed. And I was so happy to be in the rain because it was warm, it smelled wonderful, and I was soaking wet, but I felt so adventurous and so happy to be playing in the rain. So that's how the idea started for this story. But then it took its own direction and it became its own story.
So when you're writing your books, what age do you have in mind for the children?
Well, my picture books, I mostly write picture books, and those are for ages 4 to 7, even though I do write for all age groups, from board books all the way to young adult. But I have a soft spot for those picture books. I love picture books. And so, yeah, that's the age group 4 to 8.
I love the range that you have. I love the fact that you're writing in multi-genres and multi-categories for kids. What made you decide to become a children's author?
Well, I've always been fond of writing. I've done it in all the languages that I speak. And ever since I was little, writing poetry and short stories, even lyrics to songs or rewriting lyrics to existing songs, just anything to do with writing. That was my escape, and also reading. So I've always loved it. And when I had my kids and I started reading picture books to them, that passion reignited, and I wanted to try writing my own and figure out how to publish them and make them books and share them with other kids. So that's how it all started. And it was a long journey full of ups and downs and mistakes and figuring things out. It was such a big passion that I couldn't quit. Like sometimes, at times, it'd be heartbreaking and discouraging, but I just kept going because it was my dream and I was determined to make it happen.
So I got a couple questions out of that statement. You said you speak multiple languages. What are they?
Well, I was born and raised in Bulgaria. So my native language is Bulgarian. And then we had to learn Russian in school. And then my third language was French. I went to French language school, and my major in the college was in French. And then I immigrated to North America and had to learn English too. So four languages. It's not my second language, it's my fourth. And so there were a lot of obstacles for me trying to figure out, trying to get up to speed on my language skills, of course, and then trying to figure out how this publishing industry works. It was confusing and lonely and hard. But like I said, I just couldn't stop once I started. And I had this commitment to just make it happen.
How long have you been writing and how long have you been publishing? Because to me, those are very different things.
Yes. So when I started writing, like revisited my passion for writing back in 2004. And so I was writing a lot of stories. I was trying to learn as I go. And it took me about 8 to 9 years before I signed with my first literary agent, after I had written many picture books and one middle grade novel. She signed me up for the middle grade novel, and the contract was for 1 year, but we ended up not selling it. So we parted ways. But throughout my career, I've been doing this for 17 plus years now. I've sold many books on my own directly to publishers. I've worked with 5 literary agents. And so, yeah, that's how I started. And like I said, it was a long journey, but I'm happy with where I am now.
You have had such an amazing career and you're bringing all these pieces together. What is that one lesson you have learned in 17 years? Because that's a very long span of time that most author goes like, can I stick with this for this long?
Yes, exactly. So if you don't have the passion, it's really going to be hard to stick with it. And even though I had 3 little kids and we had a family business, and I really did not have time to write, but I made the time, even if it meant waking up at 5 a.m. before I get the kids ready for school just to write, especially with that longer novel, the middle grade. That was a big commitment. It took me months to finish it. And because I didn't even know what I would do with it and how to write it in the first place. So I had to stop and really focus on the craft. How do I write this book? And educate myself, read a lot of mentor texts and all of the things that I had to figure out. But what I learned is, yeah, you don't have to do it alone. I did that alone for a long time, didn't have any support, any guidance. I was trying to gather knowledge from different resources, little pieces, and then put it all together. And that's what actually started my coaching business, because looking back, I wish that I had all the resources gathered in one place to where I just would go and someone would guide me and give me the steps in the right order and all that I needed to know just to advance quicker, because wasting all that time and effort and resources and even money. I spent money on a lot of workshops and conferences, but it still wasn't getting me to where I wanted to go fast enough. Looking back, I created this 10-week course for writers just to help to give back. It's my way of giving back. So nobody has to do that for 12 years to get to a publishing deal, right? Or do it alone, go through all the frustration and confusion and all the things and making all the mistakes. I made all the mistakes. I think I invented new mistakes too. Nobody has to do that alone. So that's what I learned. Get support, get the right resources, and really stay focused. When you have commitment, passion, and focus, you'll make it happen with the guidance and support. So that's a winning combination for every writer to know.
That is a powerful combination because sometimes we're doing a lot of trial and error. And trial and error, like you said, takes time, takes energy, and funds and resources. And it's usually the reason a lot of writers quit.
Exactly. Yes, yes. It's really disheartening when you think you're doing your best, you're trying, but you're not getting anywhere. It gets to be really frustrating and deflating and easy to quit, but it doesn't have to be that way.
I love that you have a workshop together and it's 10 weeks because you're looking at 2.5 months. 2.5 months in investment in your career is nothing compared to the fact that you want to make this decades long. So that is powerful. Absolutely love it. Talking about your books, do you write standalones or do you do series?
As of now, my books are standalones. I did have an idea for a series for the middle grade novel, but so far it's just been that one book. Maybe one day I could expand it. Who knows? And I would love to write series, but with picture books, usually they're mostly standalones unless it's a character driven story and it does really well in the market and they may ask you to write another book. I would love for that to happen, but I just released a new book called The School of Failure, a story about success, featuring three different characters. And it's a fractured fairy tale. So it talks about making mistakes and learning from your mistakes and not being a perfectionist and being open to exploring different things. So it's kind of like my journey to from where I started to where I wanted to go. So that's a perfect reflection of another story that came from personal experience. And I love that book. It's getting wonderful reviews from readers and educators. It's a perfect book for the first day of school to share with your students. So I'm really excited. It's available in China and in the US market.
I was going
So,
to ask you where you got your ideas from.
well, they come from everywhere, but every book has something special in it from my own experience, something personal that's important to me. So in the first book that got a contract, it's called If I Weren't With You, and I call it the bear book because it's about a mama bear and a little cub bear, just talking about unconditional love, reassurance of love and safety and security. And when I wrote that book, I kind of was having this new mom experience. And so I dedicated it to my three kids. That's how this book is special to me. My son actually thinks I wrote it for him because he used to ask me, Mom, why do you have to be so overprotective like a mama bear? And so when I wrote that, it was dedicated to my kids. And then I have Sarah's song. That one's dedicated to my grandparents because I have such fond memories of spending time with my grandparents. And I wanted to have a story reflecting that relationship, the special bond, and what kids share with their grandparents. Then Sunday Rain, I already shared from another childhood memory. And then The School of Failure. Again, I was thinking about a catchy title. That's what came to mind. And then I started exploring, asking a lot of questions. Usually people go to school to learn how to succeed, right? What if they had to learn how to fail better and not be discouraged or give up after a failure or a mistake? Because that's what happened with me. Like I mentioned before, in this business, it's really competitive. It's hard to break through. And there are a lot of rejections. There are a lot of disappointments and heartaches. And if you don't have that passion, it's easy to give up and stop and not pursue your goals and dreams. But for me, even though I did try to quit, it didn't happen. Like I kept going because I really wanted it. So it was an exploration of that journey.
What kept you going? You say passion and focus, but what was that thing that you said, I'm not quitting, even though you wanted to? What was that drive that kept you going here?
Yeah, my love of writing and storytelling, just trying to figure out how to get better. And every time I would decide that, oh, this is too much, I can't take it anymore. Like, I'm going to quit. And maybe this is not meant to be. And maybe it's not for me. I did give it a try and didn't work out. And then a couple of days later, I would just find myself doing the same thing. I would research and read things on craft and try another story or look at old ideas or revise or look for more resources. I'm like, why am I still doing this? I thought I quit. But it turns out like, oh no, I can't just not do that. This is part of my personality, my identity. It was not possible for me to quit.
Ooh, I love the fact that you kept going, that you truly kept passionate about it, even when you wanted to, something kept you pushing. So I love it. So tell me, madam, what advice would you give somebody who's an up and coming author? Because you mentor many. What would you tell them?
Yes, I have. Same thing I tell my students, find support, find guidance, find the right resources. Just know where your information comes from, what other the sources you're using. Focus on the craft. Everybody's asking for like a shortcut and they usually ask, "Oh, how do I get published?" or "How do I find an illustrator?" And I never hear people ask, "Well, how do I improve my craft? Is my story good enough to be out there, to be out on a submission?" You only have this one chance to impress a publishing professional. And I'm talking about because my course is focused on traditional publishing versus self publishing. So, yeah, you can self publish at any point, anything you want. But if you are pursuing traditional publishing and it's great to have a literary agent, or if you are sending out to a traditional house that pays advances and royalties and all that, you have to send them something that is really polished and really standing out in the market. So for that to happen, you really need to work on your craft. And like I said, you only have this one chance to impress them. And you're wasting that chance if you're sending out a story that isn't ready, that is not at that level to where they would jump up and down and want to acquire it. So that's the shortcut to me, focusing on the craft and offering the best stories you can. And especially with picture books, you really need to have a body of work. And I do have another mentorship for more advanced authors where we work on the whole body to create multiple stories in the picture books, because agents always ask for to see additional work. If you only have one story, that's not going to do it to sign up with an agent. So these are the things. Focus on the craft and do whatever you can. Find the coaches, the mentorship, the right resources, the support, the guidance, everything to get your stories polished. And then think about the publishing. Publishing is after.
I love it. I think sometimes we are so much more concerned with the interviews, like how we're going to talk about the book to people, and not everybody's focusing on the book itself. Like, write the book, focus on your craft. So I love the fact that when you're talking to your students, it's all about get better at your craft. I also love the fact that you mentioned that agents want to see multiple things, not just one book, because I don't think people know that.
Yes, yes, especially new writers just beginning. They're so excited about this story that they just wrote, and they have one story and they are ready to send it out. But that's also a waste of time, because if an agent really loves it, they would say, "Hey, what else do you have?" They are representing authors for their careers. They want to see a body of work, not that just you wrote one story and you're done. What happens next? If that story sells, they want to sell another one for you and build your career as an author. What happens if that story didn't sell? Then they want to try something else. So in either case, you need to have multiple stories. And another thing I wanted to mention is mindset. Like, if you don't have the right mindset, you're kind of sabotaging yourself. So find a person who will guide you, who've been through this and knows what it takes. And for me, like I said, I had to figure out mostly things on my own and the hard way. But once I changed my mindset to look at rejection differently, to position myself differently, things all of a sudden started happening for me. I started getting offers from agents. I started getting publishing contracts, everything. It just turned 180. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been missing. This is how you're supposed to approach it. But it took a long time. So now I am helping writers in all aspects. First, craft, then educating them on the publishing business and how it works, because many people have no idea, just like I didn't have any idea when I first started. Again, mindset, not the last but not least, mindset to get them to that point to where they are successful.
I love it, madam. Question: what are you working on now?
Well, I am now working on revisions on a chapter book. So my agent and I, we're preparing each story to go out on submission. And then once it's out, we move on to the next thing. And right now we are revising my chapter books. I'm very excited about that. And you asked me about series earlier. So this one is a series because chapter books only publish in series that they don't have standalones. I do have a series in that, and I'm really excited to get it done and send it out and see what happens. So hopefully I would have a series in the works soon.
That is super, super exciting. So, madam, where can our listeners learn more about you? Where can they find the books? Tell us.
Yes, well, my books are available everywhere books are sold, indie bookstores, Barnes and Noble, online, Amazon, anywhere. Or you can ask your local library to order them and you can check them out that way. As far as finding me online, everything is available on my website, which is rosiejpova.com. My books are there. There's a lot of activity sheets and lesson guides for teachers, educators, parents, free downloads. You can use them in the classroom or at home with the kids. And also, you can find out my information on my writing courses, retreats, video trainings, mentorships, and all the things. So, yeah, again, rosiejpova.com.
Ooh, there's so much fun stuff going. I love it. And our listeners can get a whole bunch of information in one location. So, absolutely love it. Madam, before you leave us, because I can chit chat with you forever, are you ready for the lightning round?
Sure.
Easy peasy. Do not think too hard about this. Let's do this. Breakfast or dinner?
Dinner.
Nice. Wizard or night?
Wizard.
Okay. Camping or hotel?
Hotel.
Me too. I understand. Caffeine or decaf?
Caffeine all the way.
Okay. Here's a little different. Let's see how you do with this one. If you could be any Disney villain, who would you be?
Oh, villain. Ooh. Okay, Disney. The evil queen.
Not bad at all. Why that one?
For one, I use it in my picture book, The School of Failure, because I created an alternate character, the non-evil queen. That was apparently exciting to me, and I turn it on its head, and then that's the character in the book. So that's what came to mind.
Miss Rosie, I love it. Congratulations on all your successes and all your books. Do you have any closing remarks for us?
Yes, I do. I just remembered to mention that I also love doing school visits, author school visits at elementary schools. Any educators and teachers, librarians out there listening, please reach out. I'd love to be invited and visit your school, inspire your students. I do wonderful workshops for them, share my books, my journey, and it's just a lot of fun, but it's also educational, inspirational, and all of that.
I love it. So, listeners, if you're looking for a school visit, check Ms. Rosie out. Madame, truly a pleasure. Thank you for joining us. Congratulations again to our
Oh, thank you
listeners.
so much. It was a
It's
pleasure being here.
it's been a blast to have you. To our listeners, go ahead, check out her website, sign up for the newsletter, and make sure you stay in touch. Remember, we'll be back with another exciting author. So stay well, my friends. Bye.